This is the Purpose Podcast. I am Rayo. This is MR3, and today we're going to be talking about mental health. And our last podcast got messed up. My camera is not cooperating with us, but hopefully it will this time. Anyway, let's get right into it. Let's see. Our first question: have you ever had depression, and how do you deal with it, or how did you deal with it, brother?
How I deal with it. Have I had one? Yes.
Mhm.
Or have I had mental depression? Yes.
Mhm.
Back in about 2000, end of 2010, I started dealing with mental depression, and that lasted for nearly over 10 years,
Mhm.
maybe. And I dealt with it just by praying and just being alone most of the time, wanting to be alone for like a week and not being bothered for a while.
Mhm.
That's how I dealt with it.
Was that right about the time your vision got worse?
Yes, that was the cause of it, because I stopped working at a job I loved, and when they told me that it's dangerous for me because my job, I had to have vision to do what I did, and after losing that job, I just went to a depression mode for heavily for 3 months, and that's how it all started.
Mm-hmm.
And what about you?
The reason why we put off this video for a while is because during the past couple videos, I've been in a depressive phase, and now that I'm just about over it, that's when he proposed to me that, hey, did you want to talk about that on the podcast? I thought, yeah, why not? I mean, it's right about a good time. But I've been dealing with a depressive episode for quite a while. It started about January, February, March. Right about March area. I learned that a dear friend of mine passed, and then I started to frequent the bars more frequently, and it just became so that I became one of the local bar flies. And sometimes that's kind of funny to joke about, but then looking back at it recently, I was like, maybe that's not what I want to be most famous for. I was like, yep, that guy has 5 beers a night. Like, don't mind him. Just give him his beers. Be nice to him. He'll tip you. But I was going through that for quite a while, and it was just kind of ups and downs with alcohol, especially. I'm generally drink alcohol. Well, before that, I drank alcohol socially, meaning a beer here or there during gatherings or with lunch on occasion or with whatever's going on. But then it became so that every weekend, from about sometimes Thursday to Sunday, I was there at the bar, just having drinks. I didn't really want to cause trouble, but little did I know that I was causing trouble for myself by drinking alcohol and becoming a little bit dependent on it. And how did I deal with it? I dealt with it with alcohol. That's the second part of that question. And I think alcohol is defined, I can't remember by which governing agency, but as a depressant rather than a stimulant. And I can attest to that. I drank when I was sad, and sometimes when I was happy, which kind of is it's kind of a weird thing to do. You drink when you're sad, and you also drink when you're happy. It kind of, looking back on it, kind of just feels weird.
Happy sounds like more of a celebrating.
Yeah, like I'm celebrating. Then when you're heartbroken, you also drink. I was like, well, it feels weird to celebrate or deal with both situations with alcohol. I was like, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? In moderation, I guess it's kind of neutral. But when it really came to a head was this past week was my birthday. I made a joke that I was like, oh yeah, when on Monday I had dinner with my family, and I was like, yeah, this is the start of my birthday week. Like, kind of joking that I was going to celebrate all week, and I was like, oh, that's funny. And then it turned out that I did actually celebrate the entire week, and most of it was with alcohol. Like in the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, it was pretty much just me drinking. And it was not it was a good time in the moment, but I found with alcohol, I wrote in a journal of mine, I found with alcohol, it feels great in the moment, but then when I finally sober up, I just feel like an idiot. I just feel like it feels weird that this liquid has such control over me or can influence me like this in such a way. And this week, I had maybe a couple beers. I'm kind of just dialing it back a bit. My roommate and best friend, he was just really getting concerned, and we have what's called a mental health check-in every Saturday and Sunday. We just check in on each other, and he checked in on me. He's like, "You doing okay?" I said, "Yeah. Why?" He said, "You're going out to drink like really often, and I'm getting concerned." I was like, "Oh, I'm okay. Don't worry about me." But no, that was kind of a wake-up call. And then yesterday I thought, I'm not gonna get drunk. I'm just gonna have a beer, enjoy the night, and get out of there. And that's what did happen. But alcohol, I will say, probably one of the worst ways you can deal with something. Well, substance, I guess. Substance is the worst way you can.
Any substance.
Yeah, excluding like antidepressants and so forth. But
Yeah.
I guess
Get your doctor's opinion on that.
yeah. Don't consult us. Consult your doctor.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, kind of on a tangent, but whatever. Number 2. Oh, do you still deal with depression?
No, the last time I dealt with it
Mhm.
was a while back, so I'll get to that when we get to that question.
Okay.
But no, I haven't dealt with that since probably January
Mhm.
of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably the last time.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Do you still battle?
At the moment, not necessarily. My depression kind of comes in phases depending on what's going on. I think I've had depressive phases around significant events like me breaking up with a significant other or the death of a friend and stuff like that. But in between those times, there are occasions where I just have like depressive episodes where I feel like nothing I do is interesting anymore. Things I love to do, I'm just like, this is meaningless and stuff like that. But I have to remember to myself, like, well, this is still my life. I have to live it, and I might as well have a decent time while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So then I kind of pull myself out of it. But the ones where it's like really traumatic events, that's when it kind of sends me on a spiral for a little while. But I try not to make it anybody's problem,
Yeah.
which it's kind of a neutral thing. Like, I don't like to tell my friends everything that's going on in my life because it feels like I'm putting too much pressure on them. That being said, I do tell them occasionally what's going on because they actually are concerned, and we all ask each other the same questions. But I asked a friend of mine which therapist she sees, and I was probably going to see a therapist soon, just as an experience. I've really never done it before, and I just really want to see what it's about, see if it's pretty helpful. It probably is helpful, but it's just new ground that I wanted to explore. And if it brings me clearer thoughts or,
Helps you out?
helps me out, then, well, it's a net gain overall. Do I still deal with depression? Off and on, but lately not really.
Just in spurts?
Yeah, just in spurts. Well, I kind of get in I wouldn't say I get depressed. I just would say I'm kind of like in an mood. And I'm like, today's kind of boring. This kind of sucks. But other than that, for like the past few days or weeks, I've been pretty cool. But nothing significant. Were you gonna say something?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. That's why lately I haven't really asked my brother to help me out so much because I didn't want to put more stuff on top of what he's going through because that can add more to like since he's a good guy, makes him feel like he has to help. But I try to go around that. So, but the times we do get together, like today, awesome day, and it's just what we need to do pretty much and hang out. Pretty much just hanging out. It doesn't seem like work for me.
The reason why we record in this car, and we're kind of low quality. When we actually have the budget for it, we'll actually get a decent camera. But the reason why we do it in the car is just because when we hang out, this is all we do. All we do is talk. Like we're in the middle of a parking lot right now, and this is what we would do even if the camera wasn't here. We just talk about what's going on. And we thought, you know what? it was always like, maybe we should start a podcast and then stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is kind of a low quality podcast. We're still in our infancy stage, but hopefully this grows from somewhere.
Look at this high value
Oh yeah, this is the studio.
studio.
Rock solid studio here. But let's see what else we got. Question number 3. Oh, when was the first time you ever felt depressed?
Oh, that was back in 2010, just as I was exiting the job, and it was probably right when I left because I didn't know what to do with my life after that, and started my depression started, and I just couldn't get I couldn't deal with life because I had a job like for a while, and to go from there to not knowing what I'm gonna do and staying home a lot more, this became depressing because it gave me a sense of purpose, and it just gave me something to. It kind of made me look forward to something.
And then you didn't have it anymore?
Yeah, and I wasn't close to pretty much family, so all I would do is work out at that time. I wasn't going to church at that time, so it was just pretty much work out, hang out with one of my friends from work, and that's about it. And after that, that was all taken away, and I started getting really depressed.
Yeah, that's right. That was when I was about 11, and we weren't even close then.
Yeah.
Well, never really dealt with that alone. Well, it doesn't that suck?
What about you? When did you first start?
I think it was really young. I don't remember what year it was, but I remember I was a kid. If I had to guess about how old I was, I think I was 8. And then I was like, I just felt like, well, I grew up like in what I call an only child, but with siblings, meaning my brothers and sister had moved out of the house already, and it was just me and my mom. Our dad was away at work all the time, so it was just the two of us, and I felt really alone at that time, just because I didn't have where we lived. There was no friends in the neighborhood. There was just like for a mile there was nobody to really talk to. Just a bunch of strangers in the middle of a mountain. So I really had nothing to do, and I dealt with that with going outside, playing around, doing stuff like that. And then I remember very vividly, it just felt like nothing interested me anymore. I was like, yeah, I could go outside, but what's the point? It's really boring. This sucks. And I was like, maybe I could play my video games. What's the point? That sucks. I'm bored. And then I just like felt really alone. I had my mother to talk to, but my mother's not the best conversationalist with an 8-year-old. But I remember I talked to my mom, and I think I remember the conversation. I said, hey Mom, I think I feel depressed. And she had the knee-jerk reaction of, depressed? You don't know what depression is. And I thought, okay, cool. Alright, cool. So then I just went back into my room. I just sat there for like an hour doing literally nothing. I sat on my bed and did absolutely nothing. I just sat there alone with my thoughts. As a kid, I remember I was like, what is this feeling? This feels really weird. Like uncomfortable weird. Like it feels like I should do something, but there's nothing that I want to do. And it just felt odd. And I had nobody to talk to at the time. I had my mom, but you just heard how that went. And these guys, I wasn't really close to them. And an 8-year-old talking about depression, I'm pretty sure that's an odd conversation that nobody wants to have.
Yeah.
But let's see, what did I do? I remember I felt that way for a while, and I don't remember coming out of that phase, but it was just off and on. Now and again, I would have those, but I started to understand what it was as I got older. But that was the first time I experienced depression, pretty young. And from what I've been told by certain other people is they've also felt it younger, and they also didn't know what it was. It's like, I'm really sad, but I don't know why, which I think is an interesting phenomenon, which I think could be cause for to definitely see a therapist or your doctor, which is why I wanted to see a therapist. because I've kind of had these feelings for a long time. But oh well, I'll leave it up to the medical professionals. I don't want to self-diagnose. But our next question, and I think this is our last question already. Wow. How do you deal with depression now?
Well,
Since you're not feeling any feelings of depression at the moment, how would you feel? How would you deal with your depression if you had it at the moment?
well, what helps me right now is just since I'm a Christian or man of God, better yet, would be praying, just going through the Word of God, and this YouTube channel that I have really helps. It gives me more purpose to do something and help others, and that's how pretty much. And talking to you almost every time we hang out, we almost check in all the time. Almost the last since you started living with me, or even before that, every time we hung out, pretty much a mental check-in all the time. So that really helps, just getting it off my mind and getting your opinion. That's pretty much, or hanging out with family, my mom, my dad, my brothers.
So just being around positive people.
Mel, yeah, and just hanging out with positive people, and not hanging out with people that are like partying. I mean, if you hang out with people that party, they're just gonna get you to party, and your mind will be even more messed up. So I think this having good people in my life, and that's pretty much it. And then this, of course, I put God in there first because that's who I have to turn to, especially now the days that I live alone. So that's pretty much how I deal with things. I might talk to God, and well, other people can take their own way, but I have God even when there's no one to talk to. So I think that's what helps every day. That way I don't feel alone or scared.
You feel like there's someone to talk to.
Yeah. Just shut off everything and just talk to God. And what about you? How do you deal with yours?
Well, as a non-religious person, I think there's an interesting view to both sides. You have a God to talk to, and well, I journal a lot of my thoughts lately. I've been getting more consistent lately, and I'm trying to keep that up. But essentially, I'm talking to myself. When I write in my journal, I write it as if I'm having a conversation with myself. And it helps me deal with thoughts, work things out. And once I put it on paper, and I'm like, I can reread it later, and I think, wow, I was really being kind of overreacting to that situation. Or if I write down an idea and I think, okay, that was interesting, maybe I'll expand on that later on. Anyway, that's how I journal. But it's like having a conversation with myself. And then if I'm really... There was a time at work. I felt really depressed at work. This other job that I had. I just was really feeling mentally overwhelmed with all the feelings I had at the moment. And then I thought, okay, come on, don't break down. Don't break down. Like, there's nobody going to help you if you can break down.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, it's lunchtime. Perfect. So I went in my car. Well, that's where I am right now. And I just sat here. I was like, I just dealt with it, and then I thought, okay. I just had a conversation with myself in my car. I thought, what are we feeling right now? Overwhelmed. Why are we feeling overwhelmed? It's like, because we have all these papers to do. Okay, that's fine. How can we fix this situation? We can work on them little by little. The most important ones first. And then I thought, oh, okay. The more I tend to break things down for myself in my head, the more things make sense. So that's how I deal with my feelings of being overwhelmed. But how do I deal with it? Went on a tangent, huh? But to get back to our question, how do I deal with depression? I'm gonna kind of build off of my brother as well. I just like being around positive people. My best friends in my life, my family that I actually really like, and my best friends that I know are positive people. And I just kind of cut out a lot of people that I didn't think were bringing any positivity in my life and were perhaps leeching away happiness or there's people who just feel like they just drain me, and I don't like being around them more than I need to. So try to keep myself away from them. But my guy friends, my friends who are girls, and my family, they don't make me feel that way. Well, not all the time. And being around like all of our family, I'm just like, okay, let's get out of here, brother. Let's get out of here. I don't like this place. It's too many people.
Yeah.
But around my family, my immediate family that I'm really close with, it just feels really relaxing. And I remember I like to visit my friend who lives reasonably close. I visit his family, and his family, they call me their son, they call me their brother, whatever. And that makes me feel really welcome. And just being around positive people like that, it just really puts me in a good headspace. And my roommate and I, we both go, and we call it like a mental retreat, to where we can just be ourselves with the people we love, and that's what we really like. But I pretty much being around positive people, journaling, talking to myself, and in my case, going to therapy. That's what I'm ultimately going to end that with. If you have feelings like, really negative feelings, perhaps you should speak to a professional.
Even if your kids are going through it, you might want to ask them and not think they don't know what depression is, as my brother said when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Just check in with him, especially with the times we are going through.
Mm-hmm.
Just check in with them. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they might not seem depressed, but they might be going through it. So just check in with it. There's a lot of suicides and things going on, so you might just want to check in. Wherever or however old your children are, you might want to check in with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody gets affected with it.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to close out the podcast with what I wrote down, my birthday week. I just wrote down the title is Birthday Week. It has to do with my mental health and when I finally felt I came out of that mental fog. I'll probably just close it off with this, but excuse the grammar, and there is a touch of a very brief snippet of suicidal talk. So if that offends you or makes you feel uncomfortable, then you can go ahead and turn it away because you're not going to miss too much. But anyway, here we go. On 9/18/22, it has come to pass that I have celebrated my birthday every day this past week, from Monday to Saturday. It was a grand time. I think I saw at least 75% of the people that I love. Truly, this was one for the books. It made me realize that there are so many people in my life that I care about, and I also care about them. As I write this down, I now look back at my thoughts of suicide, and I think them so silly. Truly, man does not know how many lives he affects until something tragic happens, or in this case, something splendid happens. What have I done to deserve friends and family that I have now? If I were a religious man, I would say I'm blessed. But I believe this was a matter of chance. And if this is truly up to chance, then I'm a fortunate man. I love you all, and I wish to show it to you all before it's too late. That's kind of when I think I finally came out of my depression. And I'm going to try to take a bit better care of myself, which I also recommend for you guys to take better care of yourselves. We're our own worst critics. Anything else you want to say, brother?
No.
All right.
That's just it.
All right, well, guys, this has been the Purpose Podcast. Sorry for the delay in posting, but we're going to try to get back on this. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. Good night.